this video, we're going to be reviewing the Ruger 1022 rifle. If this rifle looks familiar to you, it should. Especially if you've been shooting for a long time, because it was first introduced way back in 1964. The basic models back then, of course, were standard wood stock and just basic flat mat barrels and without different optic options. But it has evolved over the years to where it is today, with literally dozens of variations, ranging from rifles even down to pistol models. Some of the variants I have here today, of course, include a model with the real tree finish on it with a plastic stock and a 4X scope system. And then the second one is I have a Takedown model below this. Again, it has a camo finish, but it is a Takedown, which I'll go through in a moment. It includes other features such as a threaded barrel for use of suppressors and weaver mounts for different type of optics you can interchange and what have you. So we'll go through some of those options in a moment. But the rifle has really evolved over the years, and to the point where there's over 5 million of these rifles have been sold since 1964. And in many cases, it's most people's first rifle that they ever own, because it's affordable, fun to shoot, and easy to use. Now, what are some of the things I really like about the 1022? First off, there's a large number of aftermarket modifications that come to these rifles. The first thing is you can change out your stocks, everything from the standard wood to polymers to precision shooting stocks or what have you. There's all different types of variations, including the two of my favorites, which are on the table today. You can easily change out the barrels with 2 hex nuts going into the standard frame, where you can put in precision barrels for precision shooting. You can change out the triggers. One of the first things I do with all my 1022s, I change out the triggers, and we'll go through that in a moment, because I'm not a big fan of the stock trigger that comes with these. You have different types of options for magazines. Of course, the first option is the 10 round rotary magazine that comes with these rifles, but you also can get various different aftermarkets, including the BX25s. And then you have various different changes you can make to both the sighting systems, both from a iron sight system as well as mounting of optics, which we'll go through in a moment. So really, when it was introduced, the 1022 was actually introduced as a quality adult rifle. But over the years, it's actually been adopted as one of the first rifles many younger people use as well. So it's actually had a great evolution, a great history behind it, and continues to be one of the most popular rifles in use today in the United States. As far as the other aspects I like of the rifle, it is highly reliable, it is fun to shoot. There's no doubt about it. You can shoot a lot of rounds through it. With the exception of when it gets really dirty, again, it's a highly reliable, and it's very affordable compared to a lot of the options out there over the years as well as today. These really are a great value. You can get them for a great price. As far as caliber, it is a 22 long rifle, which means you can get a lot of ammunition relatively cheap. Some of the 22 ammo can be dirty. It's just the nature of what it is. So you have to be good on the maintenance with these rifles over time and make sure that they're well cleaned up. And again, you have different magazine options that you can fire through these rifle systems. As far as operation, it's a typical semi-automatic rifle. Nothing special about it. One pull, one trigger with the charge. It is ergonomically, it is a 5-pound rifle stock. Some of that can go down or up depending upon the types of configurations you have on the rifle, but generally it's a very small, nimble rifle to utilize. As far as the barrel lengths, the stock barrel length that used to come with it, and still does with the standard Ruger 1022, is the 18.5-inch barrel. Over the years, however, they've evolved down, including to this breakdown model, where you have a 16-inch barrel with a threaded muzzle brake on the end. So you have various different types of configurations now, and then of course you have pistol variants that are even smaller than that. As far as takedown and cleaning, it's pretty standard 22. You're going to have to clean it often because the 22 is a dirty rifle to shoot, generally with the loads that are out. But things in particular you'll want to do periodically when you fire your 1022 is, in addition to cleaning out your barrel and scrubbing on the inside, you'll eventually want to clean out your bolt system as well at certain points. And in order to do that, you can remove the stock, pull out the trigger assembly, and then there's 2 cross bolts. And once you remove the cross bolts, you can then remove the bolt assembly, drop it out, and thoroughly clean it. And that's something I recommend that you do periodically with your 1022, especially if you're having performance issues with it and have fired it for many years. It's a good idea to periodically take the bolt out and clean it thoroughly to maintain the reliability of the rifle. Now, as far as options, there's many. There's, in fact, too many to go through just on a video. But the first things I'm going to talk about are the major changes that I go through. The first thing have to do with the triggers. So one of the first things I've been doing over the years with 1022s is the first thing I do is change the trigger out because I just don't like the stock trigger that comes with these rifles. However, just recently, Ruger has come out with the BX trigger assembly, which actually does this for you now. It's an easy drop-in as opposed to a reassembly with a Volkerson would put in there in springs. This makes it very easy to now quickly change out your rifle for most, or the trigger assembly within the rifle for most people. So one of the first things I recommend if you buy a 1022 is buy the BX trigger assembly. The other thing that you'll want to change out is the bolt release in the trigger assembly, and you can see it right there. The standard bolt release that comes with even the BX trigger and the standard 1022s, what you'll notice is anytime that you pull back on the action, it won't release until you activate the bolt release lever right there. This is standard in the BX as well as standard in the 1022s. However, when you put in the Volkerson automatic bolt release, what you're going to notice is that anytime you pull it back, similar to a semi-automatic, it immediately drops down. You don't have to push on this lever anymore to release the bolt. It will actually hold there now, and then again, when I drop it, it falls down, which makes it very similar to most semi-automatics and how people are used to firing them. So in addition to the BX trigger guard, I highly recommend you buy the Volkerson automatic bolt release on the trigger as well. Now, moving forward beyond that, what are some of the other variations you can do here? Other things you're going to see in the 1022s when they come is you're going to see a standard mount for a lot of the optics. And the challenge with the standard mounts is they're kind of cheap. And as a result of that, if you were to remove the scope, you will not be able to see through to your iron sight. So you won't be able to have a good backup system without removing the mount. So one of the ways you can work around that is get a good see-through Weaver scope mount system, which you can see here. And I have, by the way, links to all these different products I'm talking about in the description on the notes. But what the Weaver mount allows you to do is when you take off this optic system, you are then able to see through the mount into the iron sight system, which gives you the ability to fire both iron sights through this rifle when your optics are on, and then being able to put your optics into the system. So again, it makes it very easy for you to be able to not only mount optics, but also to be able to see through to fire through your iron sight. So again, I recommend that as well. One of the other things I really like, especially on the Takedown model, is the Takedown models now include a lever here. And the lever, if you depress it in and twist the barrel, of course, when you have the action back, is you are able to disassemble the rifle very easily like this. And it fits in a very small bag. But one of the things that I found with my rifle that I really like is, and I will include a link to this, is BSA makes a really nice 4x30 optic that has a mil-dot reticle in it. And as you can see here, it's flush. It's flush to the back of the mount. So what I can do then is when I put it into the bag that the Takedown model comes with, I can easily fit it right into the slot for the rifle itself. So it fits in here without having to remove the optics. And then of course you have two more sleeves here for the barrel as well as anything else. If I have a 3x9 optic, I'll usually put it in there, as well as additional holdings, pouches for your magazines as well as ammunition. So this is a great system to use, especially if you want portability or to be able to easily carry this in your car or camping or what have you. It makes the 1022 very easy now to move around with you when you're doing those types of things. The other aspects that I like of this model in particular is I have a threaded barrel in the front, so I can easily remove that and run a can now onto the front of the rifle, which allows me to shoot subsonic loads like the standard velocity 1022s and being able to shoot them out at a very quiet sound, but still an effective velocity, especially for small game hunting. Some of the other changes I've made to the rifles include, for example, QD mounts. One of the things I like to use for slings are QD slings. So in this case, I actually manually installed a couple QD sling mounts onto the rifles in certain areas that I like to carry them with. And the only other thing I added here was a simple Weaver mount for a light as well, so in case I ever want to run a light onto the rifle. So those are some of the modifications that I typically make to a Ruger 1022 that I personally like. There's literally thousands of different things you can do. Again, not enough to cover in this video, but these are generally the things I like to start with, including the trigger, the bolt release, the Weaver mount, as well as the optics, and then anything else you wish to add to the rifle. So moving forward, as far as accuracy of the rifle, it is a 22. So again, you're not shooting precision until you start making a lot of upgrades into the rifle. But I shot 15 different loads that are out there, and we'll do a different video on this as well, because now 22 ammunition is starting to become more prevalent in the stores again. But I have 3 different groups, and I wanted to show you just real quickly what types of groups I was firing out of this rifle here with a 3x9x40 scope on it. So the first group, the Browning 22 40 grain round nose, I shot about 1 3/4 inch groups. These are 7-shot groups that I fired at 50 yards. The second group that I fired was again out of 50 yards, and again I had a couple different groups here, but some of the best groups that I fired were 1 1/4 inch with the standard velocity 40 grain CCI, which I really like for target, as well as the Remington Thunderbolt right here, which surprisingly came in at about a 1 1/2 inch group at 50 yards, which again was very good. There's not a huge variation, as you can see, between the various loads, but certainly some are a little bit more accurate than others. And then moving out, the final group, I used a little bit better loads to see what some kind of the differences I received out of the rifle were. And as you can see, there's different types of groupings that I received. But the best grouping by far I received is from the one round that I love the most when I shoot my 22s. It is CCI Velocitor. Not only is this a heavy 40 grain bullet, but it also moves at 1,435 feet per second. So, and it's a hollow point. So it's a great load for hunting and other types of variations. And this ironically scored at 1 inch group at 50 yards within my 22. So not only is it my favorite load, it's also ironically my most accurate load. And this is even compared to some of the premium gold medal rounds that I've fired through here. Again, the CCI Velocitor, for me at least, not only is my favorite load, but it's also my most accurate load. And just to give you an idea, these are at 50 yards. If I were to move out, for example, to 100 yards, how would that look? Well, what I did is I took the Velocitor, which is the round I shot the best groups with, and I just simply moved the target out 100 yards. Now, granted, there was a little crosswind here, so I'm not going to get too in detail about why and where these hit, but at 100 yards, same rifle, 3x9 scope, using the CCI Velocitor 40 grains, I shot about a 5 to 6 inch group. So it opens up from 50 yards at a 1 inch group to about 5 to 6 inches at 100 yards. So clearly it opens up a little bit more after 50 yards is fired. What I also found is that since it was pretty close to bullseye here, it drops about 5 inches at 100 yards from a 50 yard zero. So shooting the Velocitor, I know that I need at least a 5 to 6 inch hold up on the rifle if I'm firing at 100 yards, because right now it's zeroed at around 50 yards. So that's about what I'm getting. There was a little crosswind, so that's clearly why you can see the 2 MOA off of there. But again, it gives you just an idea of the type of accuracy you would have at 50 yards as opposed to 100 yards using the same loads, which brings the argument of where's the effective range of a 10-22. Well, that's debatable. I'm not going to go into that here, but clearly at 50 yards, this is where it becomes very effective. At 100 yards, it clearly starts opening up, so you have to make those decisions for yourself. So that just gives you some idea as far as accuracy of what you receive out of the rifle. So what are some of the alternatives that are on the market today other than the 10-22? There's others out there. For example, Marlin makes a Model 60, which has a tubular magazine. So if you live in some states, for example, where they ban the magazine or limit how much you can carry in the magazines, a tubular magazine might work around that. So Marlin 60 is a very good option. The magazine version, detachable for Marlin, is the 795. Remington also makes a 597 as well. Smith & Wesson recently came out with an M&P 1522, which is designed to look like their AR-15 models. Again, they're fun to shoot as well. And Savage makes a 64F. And then you have different variations on top of that. You can go with your Browning lever actions and semi-autos, bolt actions, and your Henrys. And there's just a lot of 22 options out there today. But there's a reason why people buy the 10-22, because the value is so good. It takes us into utility. What do you use this rifle for? First off, it is a fantastic rifle for plinking. It is just fun to shoot with, and it's very affordable to shoot with as well. And now with the Takedown models, where you can have a very small and very compact system that you can work with here, you also can now use these for packing, backpacking, backups, and what have you. Young shooters as well. You can get smaller stocks and configurations to make it work easier for young shooters. It is lightweight. It's easy to accessorize. As I just mentioned earlier, there's a lot of different options that you can utilize with this rifle to make it very effective, a lot more fun to shoot. And then it really, in the end, it's a rifle that you're probably going to own, even if it's your first rifle, and you're probably not going to sell. You're going to probably own it, and in my case, over the years, I've actually upgraded them into ones that I really wanted relative to what I was looking for and what I needed at the time. So in the end, it really is kind of every person's first rifle. Over 5 million copies have been sold to many different variants that are out here today, including my two favorites, which I have on the table. So we went through a lot of the information about the 10/22. Excellent rifle, great value. I've yet to have somebody who buys one that really regrets owning one. So hopefully if you haven't added one to your collection yet, you can do so after watching this video. So if you like this video or like our channel, please like us on YouTube, and thanks for watching.